All right, in free agency in the SFL, teams can submit only one offer per day to a player. All free agents are available to offer on day one. Counter offers would count as one contract submitted per day. It would be up to ownership to prioritize their contract negotiations. So basically this is done because if somebody has to work, they're going to have less time to submit offers and negotiations to players. If someone has the day off, they could just sit there all day and negotiate. It also backs up the league desk. So you put everyone on a fair playing field. You give people a specific time to submit their contract to players on any specific day. And then you have 12 hours to do so, and then I have 12 hours to go over and analyze the contracts according to a system which we'll discuss below. So, how is free agency determined? How are contracts determined to be better than other contracts? Well, here's what your contracts are worth. Money at 40%. So if you offer more money than another owner, then you gain 40 percentage points over that owner. Pitch is 30%. You must sell the player on coming to your organization. If your pitch is better than someone else's pitch, that's 30 percentage points to you. Scheme, so you must accurately and in detail be able to discuss the scheme that you were hoping to run on your squad. The more you can detail the scheme and how that scheme is going to benefit that specific player, more of an opportunity there is to win those 15 percentage points. Existing player personnel is 10%. So this weighs what you have on your team now, and it weighs your plans for the future. You must detail to free agents, here's what we've got, here's what we're trying to get, here's what we're trying to do here from a player personnel standpoint. And franchise record is worth 5%. If you're a champion, if you've made the playoffs consistently, if you have improved the last 3 years, it's going to benefit you because players want to play for a winner. Now, some players will take the money and run. That's why that's only worth 5%. True shot caller, that's actually not true. You will participate in free agency this season, signing between 1 to 3 free agents, which has not been determined because we haven't broken down existing contracts, so we don't actually know our free agent pool yet. Once we've determined how many players are in the free agent pool, that'll determine how many players need to be signed by expansion franchises. So you will participate in free agency. It just won't be to a mass extent, likely 1 to 2 players, to get your feet wet with the system, and to spread some veterans around the league if possible. Are you with me on that, true shot caller? No, you're going to be with everyone else. Free agency is going to be for all teams. And free agency, I believe, is May 16th through the 22nd. That's right after the schedule gets released. Yes, Wolfpack, there is, and I will... Now, are you talking about player attributes on current players? Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so let's just do that now. If you go to the Players tab of the SFL website and you type in, and I'm going to type this in the chat because it's password protected because we don't want people editing information. And can people clear the chat before I put it back up on the screen? I'll do it. So this is our player database. Once you've logged in as an owner to the player database, this was something that makes our league pretty terrific in regards to the level of detail in our league. So here in the filters tab, you can see who the free agents are. Or I'm sorry, let's do, since we can't determine free agents at this time, let's look at running backs. So you filter by running backs, and you can see the running backs, their current tier, you know, their details of the player, height, weight, skin, face, their current contract, how many seasons they've been in the league, and the bio. When you bring players into the league, you will also attach with them a bio. For example, Baja played halfback at Fresno State University, where he was highly praised for his running style. He compares his running game to the NFL legend Earl Campbell, though he never achieved greatness in college. He's still one of the toughest, running backs in the SFL. So you can see that Baja has workhorse, ankle breaker, and arm of steel. Now, if you don't want to search by running back, if you want to search by ability, then search who has speed burner. Well, you can see 10 players in the league have speed burner, and you can go down and see which players those are. Let's say you want to search who has speed burner and who is a wide receiver. Well, now that's 2 players, Freeman Goodspeed and Scott King. Now let's say you want to get rid of speed burner and you want to see wide receivers that are veterans who have played in 3 seasons, and that is 13 of them. Let's say you want to see wide receivers who have played 3 seasons on Oklahoma City. That's 1 of them, Chris Taylor. You can see how the database works to get you the information that you need. And when we finally determine free agents, you can go down and choose to filter by team and filter by free agent. Every player who is labeled as free agent as their current team will show up. So you can look through all of the free agents in the league and you can see their attributes, their height and weight, their history, and their their height and weight, their their hand coordination. You want to see stuff that helps you decide whether or not that player is going to be a good fit for your team or not. So that's how to use the player database when trying to figure out strategy through free agency. And you can filter by, whether they're a gold, silver, or a bronze player, whether they are under a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, 3-year deal, what players have options attached to them, etc. Does anyone have any questions about using that database? It's under the Players tab on the SFL website. Yeah, so when free agency begins, there will be a page which details in real time where each player stands in their contracts, and that takes me back to the rule book under free agency as we continue the discussion. So once a player has received an offer, his choice clock would start at 3 days remaining until he signs. So there will actually be a countdown clock on free agents counting down to their decision. It will begin at 72 hours. And when that offer is submitted, that clock begins. So if a player has received an offer and you want to send him an offer his way, you're going to have to do it in the next couple of days. Otherwise, he's going to sign with another team. And you'll be able to see that publicly on the website. When a team wins a category, they receive all of those percentage points. So if a team offers the most money, but if another team wins all the categories, they'd have a better contract on the first day. So think about, you offer $4 million and they offer $5 million. Well, they win 40 percentage points. But if your pitch is better, if your scheme is better, as far as the level of detail in which you you describe it to the player and how it benefits the player, if the personnel is better, if the franchise record is better, you're going to have the better contract, even though you're not offering as much money. But it takes a lot to sway a player from not signing with a team who's willing to offer a better deal. Every day that a team who took the initial lead and started the clock remains in the lead, the days will count down from 3 to 0 remaining. Every time a new contract takes the lead via counteroffer, a day is added to the choice clock. Once the player's choice clock runs out, the player will sign with the contract in the lead. So, for example, if a team offers a contract on day 1 and you offer a contract the next day, if you don't have a better contract than the original contract offered, the player's just going to say, okay, well, that's a fair offer, but it's not the best that I have. If you give a better offer to that player, then the player now says, oh, okay, now I got something to think about. And 24 hours gets put back on the clock. The team that initially had submitted the contract now can counter by improving their contract. And the tricky thing is you don't know where you have to improve. But simply putting in a couple more sentences or adding, a few more $1,000 could sway a category in your favor, and you could regain the lead. You regain the lead, the player says, okay, I might be able to milk this. I might be able to get some more money out of this. So he adds another day to his clock. Eventually, that player is going to end up having to make a decision, or an owner is going to need to or pursue options elsewhere. But that's basically how the contract system works on a day-to-day basis, and you'll see that progress We'll write an article each day, and you'll be able to see it on the free agency page of the website in terms of who's got contracts, who's leading those players, and how much time each player has left before they make a decision. Does anyone have any questions about that? And we've got 2 more things left while you're pondering. If a team has a 40-point lead on any contract after day 3, that player's choice clock will drop down to 1 day remaining due to the contract being significantly better than all the others on the table. So basically, after some counters, if a team has an overwhelming majority at any point, that player is going to decide faster. All contracts are submitted between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Central. I will review the contracts each morning between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. and post the results on the website. Each player will have a choice clock, and owners will be able to see which teams offered a contract and who's in the lead, but not by how much a team is in the lead. So they could be up by 20 or by 5. You don't know, and you won't know what exactly you're losing. If you're losing the money, if you're losing in personnel, what you're behind on. So between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. on each of those days, you'll submit a contract. Then it's a waiting game. I'll analyze the contracts that have been submitted, and before 11 a.m. the next morning, you'll have an update on where free agents stand. Does anyone have any questions about free agency? I'm going to show you an example contract. Before I do that, T-Pat, do you mind if I show a contract for Abarazzo or any other specific player? You had some pretty good contracts last year, so I wanted to show an example of an owner who's here, so that I wouldn't upset anybody that's not here. Okay, let's take a look at that. So, fall 14 free agency. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. I'm going to zoom in. So here is an example of T-Pat's contract to Ianojo Abarazzo last season. 3-year, $2.5 million per season, $7.5 total. Here's the pitch to Abarazzo. Hey Subo, thanks for joining me here at Starbucks. I'm so excited to meet with you today because I truly believe that what I'm going to offer you will not only be good for the Maulers, but also for you as well. As the new owner and coach here in Minneapolis, we do things a little differently from most other teams. In particular, we treat our team as a family. We are genuinely excited about when our players outperform their contracts, and in fact, we try to give each of our players what we think they are worth, even if it's above their market value, as you can see from the details of the offer we are making to you. So let's talk shop for a minute. I want to talk about a wide receiver who was a dominant force last season, who burst onto the scene as a deep threat, a clutch performer, and whose name was on everyone's mind by season's end. That's right, I'm talking about Nick T. Quick, whom I coached and coordinated last season. I can see that flash of indignation rising in your eyes, and for a great player and competitor like yourself, that is exactly the correct response. I feel that indignation for you because we both know you are every bit as good as Nick, and there is nothing he can do that you can't do. In short, I think it is a sad state of affairs when a great wide receiver like yourself is not mentioned in the same breath as any of the other top wide receivers in the league. What I am offering you is the chance to anchor the most exciting pass offense the SFL has ever seen. I'll go into more details later, but suffice it to say that we're going to be getting you the ball early and often. Last season you were on a run-first offense where you were primarily asked to convert long down and distance situations. This led to you having a much lower catch-to-target ratio, 66%, as your coaches were consistently putting you in a different situation after a difficult situation. Even on a run-first team with my offense in place, we were able to get that number up to 75% for Nick. Last year, your longest reception was 34 yards. Again, the product of a run-first offense with a possession passing game. And you notice how T-Pat, which not all of T-Pat's pitches were this good, but this was a really good sell to Abarazzo, and because there wasn't a lot of Abarazzo had no touchdowns the season before. I mean, there wasn't a lot of pushback from other teams. But you notice how, he's looking at stat books. He's, this is coming from a champion. He's looking at stat books. He's looking at he's trying to compare players to stars in this league. And he's really doing a good job of making his case. With my more vertical offense, our wide receivers finished 2nd and 7th in yards per reception last season. Last season, you had 67 targets all year. I will guarantee you that you will get more than that in just the first 3 games with us this year, which might have actually ended up being true. Finally, in the greatest travesty of all, your market value has fallen below $1 million, which is egregious for a player of your caliber. We will give you the chance to maximize your value and your reputation in this league due to the number of targets you will get. And of course, I have complete confidence in your abilities to make plays even if given the opportunity. No other team can truthfully make these claims, and it should be very evident from the contract we are offering you, which will make you the highest paid wide receiver on our team, that whereas other teams have slighted or misused you, we believe you are one, if not the top receiver in the league. We can also say in all honesty that we would love nothing more than for you to even outperform the contract we are offering, which he did. Come join the most exciting, innovative team in the league and play for the league's top offensive coordinator from a season ago. We are very excited about your route running ability, your breakaway speed, and especially your intelligence as a Harvard grad. So T-Pat even looked at the bio of Abarazzo and showed that he cared about his history. We hope you will bring Subo time to the Twin City and help us maul our opponents week in and week out. Tremendous. Not every pitch was that good, and there were some pitches that were even better than that over the course of free agency. But that's just an example of a really good pitch. Doesn't have to be that long, but he touches on a lot of points there. Then he touches on the scheme. The Modelers are installing a high-octane passing offense and will pass the ball 100% of the time next season. Thus, everything we do, from our O-line technique to game management to the routes we run, will be completely optimized for success in the passing game. In short, this offense is a wide receiver's dream. Our analysts predict you will receive 25 or more targets a game, which is almost twice as many as any wide receiver would expect to receive on any other team. As I'll go into more detail in a minute, we have made a total commitment to investing in top-notch offensive personnel, which T-Pat did not get scheme points for this because it's personnel. Having already signed quarterback Rocco Marconi and acquired James Cooley, we intend to sign a few more weapons in addition to yourself. Having so much talent on offense means that other teams will not be able to match their best defender against you every play. Not that a great player like yourself wouldn't be concerned about that. Defenses will be forced to spread their attention to many threats, and this will really open up the field for everyone. Primarily, we will play you outside on the right, but we will also move you into the slot in 3 wide receiver formations, matching you up against a safety who will not be able to keep up with you. We will not be using any goal line sets, so we'll have at least 2 wide receivers on the field 100% of the time. With the Maulers, you are guaranteed to have your best statistical season ever. Existing player personnel. We've already signed quarterback Rocco Marconi and wide receiver James Cooley, looking to sign another wide receiver and a tight end to fill the offensive. We plan to sign a pass-blocking offensive tackle as our legend O-lineman to give Rocco extra time and to give you and the other wide receivers the ball each play, and our entire O-line will be generated towards pass protection. Having so many weapons will make it impossible for the defense to key in on any one player, and this will result in better production for everyone. Simply put, from a personnel standpoint, you will be put in the best possible position to pull up big numbers, increase your market value, and help us win games. I'm not going to show a bad pitch. Big Willie wants to see a bad pitch. I'm not going to show bad pitches because that's just putting down an owner who might have had a bad pitch. But, I mean, there are pitches that just have no detail at all. And that's just not good enough when you're. I mean, if you walk into a meeting room and you tell a player that you want that player and you think he'd be great for the system, and you stop, the other player is going to be blown away by the other team's presentation, and you're going to lose 30 points. You may have more money than they might, but they're going to lose 30 points, and if you can't adequately describe your plans for the upcoming season to these players. I mean, free agency this year is May 16th to the 22nd. The season starts June 18th. That's a month away. You better have at least some sort of plan to be able to pitch to these guys. Otherwise, they're going to go with a team that has it more together. And you saw that in the bad offseason that San Francisco had this year. That's something that San Francisco struggled with, and hopefully that they can, that they can improve on that this year. Does anyone have any questions about how contracts are offered, why they're important, the percentage points of what is important, when to submit, and how counter offers work? Does anyone have any questions on free agency? King Fade 2, what's up, man? Welcome to the school of the SFL. What's your question? Fire away. Okay, let me answer T-Pat's question first. So if your offer is more than 40 points better on day one, does a day one clock start then or 3 days from then? The clock dropping from whatever time is left to 24 hours occurs when two contracts have been submitted to a player and one of the contracts is ahead by more than 40 points. That's when it drops from whatever it is to 1 day. The form, Darth Destro's question, that form that TPAT uses, is that available to us? That is a league document. Every owner fills out that document when they submit a contract. And that document actually has consecutive days. Let me show you again. So here's the 27th. Here's the next day's contract. Here's the next day's contract. Here's the next day's contract. There's already in the document, it's all one document, you have your 6 days of free agency. And basically every day you fill out the contract for that day. If it's a counter offer, you just copy and paste your original contract, and then you highlight what has changed from the original contract. So you can see it's a document for the entirety of free agency. Yeah, there might be a files. It might be in the files. In fact, I'm pretty sure that it is. It needs to be updated though because it doesn't have the new dates of free agency. But Otherwise, that file is pretty much the same, and it's not going to change unless there's some sort of rule change proposal, which I have seen no rule change proposals on free agency, so that's good.